習を終えた所在地点はとんだ誤算だった。貴様のような危険な男が新たに兄貴分に収まっているとは。んなもん俺も新八も願い下げだっつってんだ、この野郎。
こんな景色のいい物件そうはないわ。このマジックミラーからなら銀さんの裏からの先まで舐めるように眺められる。ついに私の住まい。
Hey everybody, welcome back. Unversed Podcast, me and Grant, and yes, we're back. More Gintama. I know it's been about a month now since the last episode came
really
out.
Has.
Yeah, with LA Comic-Con, we took a little break, and then just therefore we're just scheduling and
Holidays are coming up too.
Holidays are coming up, yeah. So yeah, we're back, but unfortunately, because I haven't really read a lot of anything recently. So I only read 24 chapters this time around. So we did chapters 400 and 423, and we're gonna go over it, man. And even though it's not a lot, there's still a lot of like one-offs here, like a lot. But we'll just go through them. We'll talk mainly about the main points of the bigger stories. Like this first one, coming in with the boy Shachi. If you don't remember him, he's got the cross scar on his forehead. The prisoner that Gintoki met, that became his underling. And in one of the previous chapters, he and Gintama, or in Gintoki, they were working on a manga together. And now we see where he does it. He goes to the nurse's office, says that he's sick, and while he's there, he puts on his artist hat, takes out his tools, and starts drawing his manga. Yeah, he knocks out one day doing it, and his manuscript's gone. He's like, where is it? And the doctor is reading it, and she finds it pretty funny, and now he caught feelings.
It's a one-shot, too. It's a one-shot manga. It's a manga within a manga. I love it.
Yeah, this one was it had me going for a bit. So the whole premise, it was just Shachi just telling Gintoki, like, yeah, how do I tell her, that I have feelings for her, but it's like, I'm a prisoner, is this really gonna work out? And Gintoki's like, dude, I don't care, man, just draw this manga.
I don't care about your love life, just do your goddamn work. Yeah, what was the manga itself again that he made? Because we saw it in the manga.
Yeah, well, okay, so they were just trying to make some one-shots to submit, right? That was based off the last one. And there's a funny shot where Gintoki's pissed at him, not because he's in love, but because he's been drawing the female characters with glasses. That's what the doctor wears. And Gintoki's mad at that because they're not weather girls. As we know, Gintoki has a weather girl fetish. But yeah, so Sachi's so nervous, he doesn't know what to say. So Gintoki says, like, okay, well, why don't you use the manga? Right? And he's like, what do you mean? It's like, why don't you just write this one shot, and have her read it and then express your feelings through that? And he's like, oh, that's a good idea.
It's a hidden message.
Yeah, and it'd just be like, yeah, just pretend like you need help. And then so we get to read pretty much all of them. And
you basically read a manga within a... And there was a hidden message in that manga. Like, how far can Gintama go with this? This is too meta for me.
Yeah, and the running gag here is that he's trying to get advice from her, but the real trick is like trying to express his feelings, but she doesn't see that, so she keeps offering him weird suggestions for the manga, and it's a manga about fencing, which I thought was interesting. And
we don't have fencing mangas, do we?
I don't think we do.
Congratulations, a manga created another manga genre.
And see, look here, there's this panel right here where it's just like, okay, maybe you have to be more direct with what you're trying to say. And so, and it's funny because Sachi's like, I don't even want to do a fencing manga. Like, this wasn't the point. And so the main character runs away and wants to quit and gets hit by a car. And he's like, there's only one more thing I wanted to ask you. Please go out with me, sensei. And before she can reply, she gets stabbed by the main character's dad, who is one of the 4 heavenly kings of fencing, as it says right here. And then the story becomes a revenge thing, and it gets like pretty anime. And
what if that whole
yeah.
chapter was just a critique about the tropes of manga, but people didn't know it, hence the hidden message?
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, if you're looking at like pretty bad shonen, it can go something like this, just ridiculous. And I have to say, like, it's funny because like the art is still pretty good, right? The way Shachi draws is always like super detailed and like all sketch like. And then his dad shows up and it's just like a really simple drawing.
At least they don't have wide ass.
So it gets to the final panel where it's like oh yes, here's the secret technique, Sensei, please go out with me, right? Basically just saying, like, he's just saying it the whole time, and then she decided to just end the manga. And then we get to the last page, and we have a photo of her, and she's with her husband, and a wedding photo. So
What the hell?
yeah, it was just ridiculous. And it's funny too, you know, when Shonen Jump, they always have the they have the little box at the bottom saying like Gintama, you know, chapter end or whatever.
Yeah.
And it'll have like the mangaka's name, and then for here it has the panel and it has the editor, and the image for the editor is Sadaharu with the hat and glasses. It's funny.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that was fun. I thought that would be one that would go longer, for sure, but it was fine for one chapter.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why it would go longer, because it gets really deep, you could say. Like, I mean, this is a comedy manga we're reading, but it has these hidden messages. I don't know, just Gintama's something else.
Yeah, Gintama's all over the place. That's the true lesson you want if you're reading or watching this.
I know the next arc that you read was about Sadaharu, right?
Yeah, he gets a little sad here. Basically, the whole joke about Gintama is that Gintoki and them are always broke, right? And so they have Sadaharu, big boy dog. You know, a lot of good points means a lot of food. And right here in the beginning of this chapter, it's just like, yeah, we don't really have a lot of food, Sadaharu, so you're just gonna have to deal with this. You know, and it's like, it's 3 pieces of dog food, and then it's like, okay, we're just gonna have to share. So Kagura and Gintoki start eating their share, so he's left with 1 piece.
Aww.
You know, and they're all talking shit, and Sadaharu's pissed, so he decides to run away. And while he runs away, he finds a stray puppy next to the garbage, and Sadaharu's literally about to eat this dog, and then he remembers that Kagura picked him up, so he decides to just leave him alone
And take care of him instead.
Yeah. So they start living by like the riverbed, eating fish caught out of the river. They're sleeping in a playground. You know, he's just trying to find an owner for this dog, basically. And then
it was a really sad one.
They go to he goes to the Shinsengumi. Hijikata's just like, you know what? Like, we don't need a mascot anymore. We tried that last time. We don't need none of this. And then he sees the dog. It's a cute dog. He's like, you know what? We don't have a police dog, guys. We should look into this. And then he starts trying to do this weird trading. It's like, all right, here's all these plates of mayonnaise. You have to tell us which one's which. You know.
Oh boy, which one has the cocaine in it?
Yeah. Well, no, it's like this one's half calories. This one's quarter. No cholesterol. No oil. The last one's mustard. You guys have to tell which one it is by scent alone.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah. And it's really just Sadaharu walking around the neighborhood. Again, getting picked up by the main characters. So the next one was Sacchan, and this took a weird turn for me, man. I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting anything like this. She decided to take them in. Main reason, of course, Sadaharu was Gintoki's pet, you know. So she's like, yeah, I'll take care of him. Maybe Gintoki will notice me. No, that's not the case. She picked them up, and you know, we get a look in the background while she's cooking, and it's like, oh yes, I could just, you know, use his pelt to be Gintoki's pet, you know?
Oh no.
So that's the real reason she picked him up, and he runs away, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, I wasn't expecting that. She's...
Eggs on rice again? Why do you keep on cooking this shit?
And then eventually he goes to Katsura.
Uh-huh.
And this is a running gag from one of the older chapters.
He's hiding underneath, like, the temple.
Yeah, they were still playing, I guess, hide and seek or whatever they call it in. They were playing kick the can. That's right.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's an old throwback.
Yeah, so he's been hiding for 2 weeks, the whole time, And then, yeah, he keeps walking around, and so he's dragging this dog in the box, and it says, "Please pick me up." And then he looks over, and it's Hasegawa, and it also says, "Please pick me up." But then this is when it gets sadder. The dog is starting to get sick, and Kagura and them are looking for him, but he still doesn't want to go back or find help. He's just trying to do his own thing.
He keeps on getting the dog fish, and the dog won't eat it because he's sick.
Yeah, and then so he looks at the collar, and it's like, oh wait, I know where this is. So he tries to go find this place. Then he bumps into Gintoki, and it turns out he's on this job looking for this dog. And he's talking to these ladies from the neighborhood, and says some shit. And then Sadaharu gets pissed off, decides to run away, and he's like, you know what, forget this. I'm gonna just try to figure out without their help, kind of thing. Oh, right, because Gintoki said, like, oh, what, do you know this dog? Well, why don't you, bring him over? We could make some cash, this and that, and Sadaharu didn't like that.
Yeah. I think the moral of the story was there's nothing wrong with asking for help if you need it. Like, don't be too prideful. That's how I see this arc.
Well, it's not really that. It's just, he was just pissed off that, he didn't think Gintoki was that kind of person. Type of thing, yeah. So that's why he's stubborn about it, and he wants to take care of him like they took care of Sadaharu before.
That's true, yeah. And spoil him, I guess.
No, not spoil him, but treat him with care.
Yeah, it was, but at least it was like heartwarming towards the end.
Yeah, and then they pick up the dog, and they take him to the vet so he gets better. And he's feeling good. And Sadaharu has to stay because he got sick too. But it all ends on a nice note.
And then the next arc you read actually went on for a while. This was also a couple of episodes for me too.
Yeah, this is like a big lore episode. We actually get some more background into Otai-chan and Shinpachi's past, which we never really get, right?
Yeah, the dojo.
Yeah, and it turns out, classic shonen trope, right? Turns out, here's a student from long before he's come to return.
It's a big Star Wars reference too.
Oh yeah, because it starts off with Tae-chan saying like, yeah, I want to reopen the dojo, but you know what? We should change it up. Instead of our traditional stuff, we're gonna do the beam saber style.
It's so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And the student that comes back, his name.
Yes, his name is Obi Hajime, right? But people just call him Obi Wan, right? Because if you don't know, Hajime means first, so that's why his nickname is Obi Wan, because Wan is katakana for the number 1.
I didn't even realize that. I didn't know Hajime means 1.
Yeah, that's I learned that in Japanese class because I asked my teacher.
Hajime no Ippo mean?
I asked my teacher that. I was like, what does Hajime no Ippo mean? Because Ippo's nickname or whatever. And she said, yeah, so if I were to translate to English, it would just be the first steps of the beginning. And 1,400 chapters later, we're still in the beginning. So.
Oh my god.
But yeah, his name's Obi-Wan. They kind of really stretched that one.
Yeah, this was, it was funny at first. Because it's like, oh, we're reopening the dojo. He comes back, and suddenly Kondo and Kyubey are just like, hey, we want to join now.
Well, the reason why is because Shinpachi had to bring out, like, oh, this was your first love, but Tae-chan's super embarrassed about it.
Oh.
Right, so he doesn't get to finish saying it, and that's when they show up.
Because they're jealous.
Yeah, and also, yes, he's like, I'm totally down to reopen the dojo. I've actually learned the beam saber style when I was going around in space, and he literally trained with Yoda, as we see in this panel right here. He's known as the Galaxy Swordmaster.
It was this arc did actually last a while.
Really did, yeah, it really did.
It was really cool though.
This has like a good combination of pretty much every aspect of Gintama.
It was
here.
like a mini. It's a mini arc, and they did a really good job of filling out a lot of things in like a couple chapters. How many chapters was it again? Like 5?
4 chapters? No, it was 6 chapters. Or 7?
Oh,
7 chapters.
Huh.
7 chapters.
Yeah. Well done mini arc, to my surprise.
Yeah, and so this really does have all the aspects, because it starts off as a comedy. You know, you have the usual sticks with some of the supporting cast to join in on the humor.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to the ridiculous stuff. It turns out that he's actually like more cyborg than anything.
Yeah, and then you have those people controlling him. Like, they look like Yoda too, except they wear ski masks.
Yeah, so what happened was he got caught in some explosion in the past during one of the somewhere, wherever it was. So that's where they all thought he died, but it turns out he teleported to this planet, and then that's when the Yoda people took care of him. And he did mention that he died once. Yeah.
There's something in his chest that they put in him.
Oh yeah, we're getting to that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so the whole one half of his whole body is all robot at this point. We get some flashbacks about his character. We did, it's pretty much shown why Taechan liked him back in the day, I guess. And then it turns out, they go to Genkai to fix him because he kind of shuts down. And it's like, yeah, he just needs oil or whatever. And it's
I did really like that part where I think Otai-chan and Gintoki are talking while he's taking a bath. And then Gintoki just goes through the bathhouse and, I think stabs him with the wooden sword.
Yeah, so he's talking to Genkai. And it's like, yeah, while I was fixing him, I was looking around in his system, and he's got, this bomb in his chest. And while they're talking about this is when the Yoda aliens in ski masks take over the broadcast. It's like, yep, those are probably the guys. And they're talking about, Obi Wan. And while that's happening, we see Obi Wan take control by the Yoda people because his eye changes color, and that's how we know he's being taken control. And while Gintoki's talking to Genkai, like, well, how do we stop that? And it's like, well, we have to shut down that part of his body, but that means that's where his heart is, his new one. So if we stop his mechanical side, he dies. And while they're talking about that, Otai-chan was there around the same time listening in. Classic trope kind of thing. And so, yeah, that's pretty much... what did he do? Oh, yeah, Genkai gave Gintoki a sword that would be able to stop it, but it would still kill him, basically.
Ooh.
Yeah, and Gintoki's trying to see if there is any way to save him, but yeah, Genkai's like, yeah, there's no way. So he shows up to the dojo with the sword ready to go, and then, Taechan's talking to him about it. And she's not concerned about her feelings for him. It's all about, how would Shinpachi feel? She's worried about Shinpachi and how he would react to this. And then while this is happening, yeah, Shinpachi's in the bath with Obi Wan, and they're talking about how, you would get along great with Gintoki. You should, you should stick around. It'd be great times. You guys could be great friends, this and that. And Taechan's still trying to convince Gintoki that, let him be, Shinpachi's older brother just a little while longer. But the catch is Obi-Wan doesn't know how long he has left to control his body before the aliens do, right? That's why Gintoki's even here in the first place. And it was at this point where Gintoki decides, he'll be if he has to be the bad guy to stop this, then, he will be the bad guy to stop this. Man. And then it shifts to, very serious fight, him and Shinpachi, they start arguing.
It got really good, though, during that fight, didn't it?
Yeah, the second half gets super serious as Gintoki can, which is, that's one of the things about Gintama. You never really know which direction it's going to go with these types of arcs. I wouldn't expect it to go on this route based off the first chapter.
Yeah, makes sense. You'd think it'd be a comedy arc, but it's just yeah, not really. Psych thought.
Yeah, so if anybody really tries to get in Gintama, I would definitely recommend one of these arcs because it really goes full circle with everything that Sorachi tries to do with Gintama as a whole.
Yeah, it was, again, surprisingly... this arc just showed up out of nowhere, but it still did a great job, though.
Mm-hmm. And then to the surprise, towards the end, while Gintoki's fighting Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan's getting the upper hand, and then Shinpachi...
Never thought I'd hear Gintoki fight Obi-Wan.
Oh, yeah, this is Gintama, man, of course.
Yup.
So Shinpachi actually shows up and challenges Obi-Wan in a fight. And so they fight each other. So
and
that's
then I
pretty
think not Otai, Kondo and Kyubey start fighting too.
Yeah, they hop on the alien ship and starts destroying him. They're trying to find a way to stop the bomb from detonating, but it turns out that they can't. And Gintoki doesn't want Shinpachi to fight, his basically his older brother, but he's severely wounded and he can't get up, so he's pissed at himself for that. And Shinpachi says like, you know what, don't sacrifice yourself for my sake. And so Gintoki, really showing their friendship, passes him his wooden katana, his signature weapon he always uses, to Shinpachi so he could fight.
Lake Toya. Didn't he come back though at the end?
He came back to his senses at the end, yeah. Obi Wan did, and then if I remember correctly, scrolling through the chapters here, he detonates the cannon himself and aims it towards the ship. But then the ship's also shooting at him at the same. Oh no, because he sends the signal to the ship to shoot down, and then it hits him. So he dies, basically, is what it implies.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then there's the epilogue of it where it's Kondo and Kyubey, and they're just like, yeah, that was pretty intense, huh? Like, I wonder how Shinpachi and Otei-chan are handling it, and it's raining, it's all, like, depressing, kind of thing. And then they look over and, like, oh, they just came back from vacation and they got a tan, they're wearing Hawaiian shirts, And they're
You
like,
need those Hawaiian shirts, don't you?
oh, of course, dude, of course. So they're like, you went on vacation and you bought macadamia nut chocolates? And it's like, oh, maybe this is just their way of grieving, and it's like, oh, yeah, good. Like, good thing you saved up some money, huh? Must have been expensive. Like, oh, Obi-Wan actually had life insurance, so we used that for the vacation.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah, and then so they're like, okay, we're going to open the school now, and it's going to be waiting for applicants, and it's like, oh, a bunch of homeless people showed up, because, like, so wait, you're going to give us macadamia nuts if we learn the way of the sword? And, like, they're just there for the free food.
Yeah, just for nuts. That's it.
So typical Gintama ending for an arc like this. Yeah. Everyone's just really having a fun time.
But still a good arc, though, nonetheless.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it for what it was.
The next arc, though, well, it was more of like a one-chapter thing. I think it was with
Soyo, the Shogun's...
the princess, right?
Yeah, the Shogun's sister. If you remember, she's good friends with Kagura. It's summertime.
Surprisingly.
They want to eat watermelon, so they're going to do a watermelon... what do they call it? Watermelon splitting.
Uh-huh.
Right, where you blindfold somebody.
Watermelon?
Yeah. You blindfold the person. I think traditionally you could also, spin them around or something. And they try to smack the watermelon as hard as they can. And they decided to bury Shinpachi and Gintoki as well, right next to the watermelon. And Soyo's the one to go up, and so she's blindfolded with a wooden katana, almost killing Shinpachi and Gintoki.
And then she gets kidnapped.
Well, yeah, she starts wandering on her own. She goes in the middle of the street, and they're telling her to just they're telling her to stop moving this and that, but she mishears the words. I think it's based off of some kind of it's like an RPG, revival spells and all that. So she accidentally hits this guy in the moped who stole a purse.
What a coincidence!
Okay, see right here. So it said this lady said thanks, right? And she's like southeast. So the lady said Nato Orewo, which Soyo heard as Nanto. Which is the escapes from dungeon spell, or whatever.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
She mishears them as fucking RPG mechanics.
Yeah, and then so she keeps running around. She hits some cops in the head eventually, and then she got captured by the Patriots, I think.
Oh no, the Joui Patriots.
Yeah.
Speaking about Joy and sorry to go off topic here a bit. Are you gonna do the Joy cosplay, the rapper Katsura for AOLA?
Katsu rap?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still planning to do that. I just gotta grab a sweater.
Gotcha. And get the words on it.
Yeah, get the Zura.
Yeah. Okay. Alright, I was just asking that. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so she still thinks they're playing this watermelon game while she's being chased. And then lucky there was a truck that Gintoki and them snuck in with watermelons and just chucked them at the car until it crashed.
What a big fat coincidence, huh?
Yeah, so that's pretty much that. Just some random Gintoki stuff. Or Gintama stuff.
The next arc, though,
The next arc's actually part 1 of a 2-parter arc here.
I like to call this one the confessional arc.
Yes, because that's what this is. Starring Tama, our favorite android girl.
And a lot of people you can't see because they are having a confession.
Yeah, but there's definitely a lot.
Who they are.
Yeah. So if you remember, she still works downstairs at the bar, and I guess it just got to the point. Well, she was popular, right? Because she's very attractive, and that's where all the guys showed up for. But now, like, they're just, letting their feelings out to her, and now there's this line, there's this whole thing, and Toki's just like, oh, wait a minute, we could make this a job.
Off of this.
Yeah, so he just builds like this cardboard shack right like in this alleyway.
Lord Tama, forgive me for I have sinned.
Yeah. And he's charging like $10 for to repent your transgressions.
Oh, against Tama.
And so they set it up. Gintoki's in the back keeping an eye in case she needs advice because she doesn't really understand.
Uh-huh.
And the first guy's talking about how his boss is this shitty bastard. And then they're talking about like all this stuff, and Gintoki's like, God, yeah, this guy sounds like a fucking asshole. And it's like, oh yeah, I accidentally broke his favorite figurine to pieces, kind of thing.
Oh.
And then they're still talking, so he brings out another figure, and it's Ketsuno, the weather girl. And so he decides to break it there, and he's like, wait a minute, I have a Ketsuno on a figure.
It was probably Shinpachi, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then the next person that shows up talks about her husband is an incredible diarrhea bastard, and
oh no.
And he accidentally stabbed him with a mop in his ass, and it's like, should my sins be forgiven? And Tama's like, isn't this murder? Like, and it's like, nah, it's probably not murder. She's probably fine. So it's like, oh, it's okay. I left him and I stabbed him with a mop. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. And then he turns around and there's a mop in his ass. So it's probably Kagura, and he's just like, wait a minute, there's no way this fell out of the sky, right? And it's like, he's like, hold on, like, wasn't that just, was that Shinpachi and Kagura? It's like, nah, maybe it's a coincidence. And the next person was Sadaharu.
He's like, I can tell from that chin who it is.
Yeah, and so she's translating to what it is, and basically what Sadaharu said was he fell out of the, I guess off their room, and fell on this person, and he got very scared, so he stuck that person in the closet. And Gintoki's like, this fucking dog put a dead body in my house? What the fuck?
Oh my god. Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
And so, Tom was just like, oh yeah, you're probably fine, this and that. And Gintoki's like, no, that's not fucking fine. He's like, get to dispose of the body now, or you'll be sin forever. And Sadaharu freaks out, so he runs away. And then here comes the chief of police.
Oh man, I forget his name, but I know who you're talking about. The white hair, or the gray hair sleeked back.
Yeah, I forget his name. He always goes to the hostess clubs.
Yeah, the only dude with guns.
Yeah. And he's like, man, I really messed up this time. Somebody landed on me. I lost consciousness, and then I woke up. My friend was gone. How do I apologize to the world, Shogun? And it's like, oh, he's talking about the Shogun.
He's just like, oh no, god damn it, the fucking Shogun. Shogun Kyle. Oh my god.
And yeah, so it's just like, oh fuck, the Shogun's dead body is in my closet.
Anytime the Shogun pops up, these are like the most funniest arcs to me.
Yeah, they're always overboard, And so he tells Tama, like, okay, tell him they're gonna find him, like in a closet or something. He's like, oh, a closet, okay, I'll go look for him. And then the next person that shows up, or no, he remembers. He's like, fuck, I told Sadaharu to throw it in a river.
Uh-huh.
And then somebody else comes up wet, and as we could tell by the goatee, it's Hasegawa.
Oh yeah, because he was sleeping underneath.
Yeah, and so it turns out Sadaharu threw Hasegawa away, and it's like, wait a minute. Are you telling me not only is there a dead body, but somebody was living in my closet?
There was a living corpse freeloading there?
Yeah. And so Gintoki says, throw yourself in the river again. Like, what? It's like, yeah, but take that other body that's in there with you, and then you will be, your sins will float away, or whatever the hell he says.
Oh my god.
And then, of course, it's not the Shogun this time, but it's actually Sacchan, who's also in the closet.
There's 3 people, not just the Shogun. It's Shogun, Hasegawa, and Sacchan. Gintoki didn't know there were 3 people stalking him, living in this goddamn closet.
Yeah, and then so she starts explaining what happened with her. And Gintoki's like, oh, okay, so it wasn't the Shogun, I'm freaking out for nothing. And before she leaves, it's like, okay.
And then suddenly a dirty bearded man appeared and cast me into the river. It was you?
Yeah. And then, so right when she leaves, she pulls out the Shogun with a fly flying around his head, implying he's dead.
Oh yeah, she just has his body.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, this is probably just a sex doll. And it's just like, what the fuck? I'm like, no, it's not. And it's not over.
It didn't happen in the conference room. It happened.
Yeah. And it's not over, right? Of course it's not over. Yamazaki shows up now. And he's like, this is Tama's shop, right? And if you remember, he low-key, he sort of has feelings for her still, kind of thing.
Yeah, they try to get married.
Yeah, Tama told her to leave out pudding or whatever. So Tama did that. And so Yamazaki decided to eat it. and then he's like, oh wait, this is part of Shinsengumi. This would just make things so much easier. So he told him that Tama found the corpse. And then after that, Yamazaki said, don't worry, leave it to me. And then who shows up with a cigarette in his mouth? Hijikata. And he's like,
oh yeah, doesn't Yamazaki like get knocked out and write something with his
well, yeah,
blood?
that happens right now. That's why Hijikata's here. He's like, I'm here about a confession I heard about. And we're trying to find the Shogun. And my subordinate Yamazaki they went to the scene and he was knocked out. And he wrote, it looks like you're not home, so I'll come again later. No, it's Katsura. Zura. Played a Gintoki.
Oh, yeah.
PS. So Dragon Quest X came out. Those were his dying messages.
Dying message.
So they're trying to blame it on the Patriots, right? That's kind of what Gintoki told Yamazaki. Basically, because that would be believable.
So it says right here in the translator notes, verb for do can be used for playing a video game, but it doesn't really work in English. Hijikata is misinterpreting it here.
Oh yeah, because then he asks him, he's like, "Did you do it?" Quoting it, and it's like, "What did you do, Gintoki?"
Like, did you play Dragon Quest X?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And it's like, so do you know this Gintoki person? Never heard of him. All right, I'm leaving. And then one more person shows up, and Gintoki's like,
Shogun.
yeah, he's fed up. He's like, no, we're not taking anybody. And of course, it is the Shogun. Yeah.
He's like, hold on.
And he's like,
the Shogun's alive.
Like, Shogun, can I confess to you instead? And so they're talking, and then it turns out like, oh yeah, the Shogun really did collapse on the side of the road and lost his memory. But he's like, no, it's okay. I found a new best friend.
And of course, his best friend, his goddamn best friend, is Katsura. It's fucking Zura.
Yeah. And Zora's like, oh, you'll be a fine Joui Patriot for sure.
And together we'll take down that rotten Bakufu and the Shogun. And Gintoki's just in the back like, oh no.
Yeah, and before Gintoki can do anything, he gets arrested. And you think it would end there. No, it doesn't end there.
No.
Then it goes to the other side of this with the Shogun.
You can't find the Shogun, but there's 2 people at large. Oh, Matsudaira's his name.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, the dude with the gun in charge of the Shinsengumi.
Yeah, the chief, basically. And then so, yeah, the second half of this arc...
Gintoki's been detained for obstruction of executive officer.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And then, like, the Joui Patriots are just like, oh my god, we never thought Gintoki would do that. Hell yeah!
Yeah, then Katsura's just like this, and like he's just talking to them or whatever, and say, oh, we have a new member, actually, since we're all here. And then he shows them, it's like, It's like, yeah, this is Shogun. And everybody's like, dude, that's the fucking Shogun. Like, why are you bringing our enemy here? And of course, Katsu's just like, huh?
That page, though, like, you see the light emanating. That's me as the Holy Grant coming up to me.
Yeah.
Dude. Oh, it's so great. Dude, I need to cosplay as the Shogun now.
Yeah, anyways, so basically Katsu is just trying to train the Shogun into being like what it takes to be a good leader of the Patriots.
Uh-huh.
And so they start doing random things, like they're playing Jenga and Elizabeth throwing volleyballs at them at the same time while there's a TV playing.
That page where they're on the horses with the swords, that's you and me on our way to
Yeah,
LA.
that's us.
That's us. Yes.
That's us going to the con at like 2 a.m.
Oh my god. I can't wait.
So yeah, basically Katsura is always trying to one-up the Shogun in here to prove that he is, he's the leader. But Shogun, being the Shogun, always has something better to say. And so eventually everybody from the Joui Patriots accept him as the new leader instead of Katsura. Even Elizabeth leaves him.
Yeah.
So now he's kind of upset about that. So then he goes to Gintoki for advice, and of course Gintoki's still in jail, and he's pissed off about that.
And then what he's doing to train the Shogun is they're playing Jenga on him. And while they're playing Jenga, Elizabeth is throwing dodgeballs at them.
Yes.
And at the Jenga, and then they make dominoes on the Shogun from his nose down through his body, and they make a line of dominoes from the Jenga.
Yeah,
It stops.
it's just wild shit. Wild shit,
it really is. On a riverbank, while they're watching TV, and the Katsura kicks the TV, just like, would you shut up? And then they play Othello.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Unfashionable briefs, long hair is a bit sweltering, stiff, mob character face. On the white sides are insults you wrote about me, and the black sides have insults I wrote. In order to avoid showing our weaknesses, we must flip over our opponents.
Yeah, so the Shogun keeps one-upping Katsura this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Katsura's just not having that at all.
And then they play Uno.
Yeah, and then they play Uno, yeah.
Draw 4. He lost in a perfectly normal way. This goddamn face. Oh my god.
Yeah.
All these games. And what was the lesson? Oh, you gotta keep cool as a leader.
Yeah, that was the whole thing, yeah. And Katsura's doing the exact opposite. And then so, yeah, everybody's playing Uno. And Katsura's just like, I decided I'm gonna break out Gintoki. He shouldn't be in prison. He should be with us,
Uh-huh. With us.
Yeah, and he's doing that thing, where he's just like, all right, I'm leaving. I'm going. He keeps trying to like get people's attention, and they're just like, hey, Katsura, can you kind of be quiet? We're trying to concentrate right now, playing Uno.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's just there, just talking to Gintoki, and Gintoki's just like, dude, shut up, I'm in jail, like, what do you want from me? And then as the guards show up, they're about to alert everybody else, and then who kicks them in the back of the head but the Shogun himself. He's raiding his own palace.
That's right. Yeah. God, this arc was wild. It was funny, but goddamn, this shit was wild.
Yeah, and so Katsura protects the Shogun from these volley of arrows, and he's trying to act all cool, telling him what a leader is. And then and then we just look back at the Shogun. His ass got stabbed by this this piece on the roof, and it got stuck in his ass.
Oh yeah.
And as he's about to jump, Katsura grabs that piece to rip it out of his ass, and it rips off the Shogun's clothing. So now he's naked in the bathhouse, and they're calling him a pervert. And now he's running around in his underwear, classic Shogun.
Somehow the Shogun will always end up in his underwear is going to show up no matter what.
Yeah. And then they get stopped by a bunch of swords, and it's like, wait a minute. It's like, oh no, it's the guards, but it turns out it's actually the Patriots. And it turns out that the Shogun really didn't lose his memory. They both knew about each other the whole time.
He didn't lose his memory, or he did?
No, he didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like Katsura really, he knew this was the Shogun the whole time, and the Shogun knew this was the Patriots, and that, you know, he did gain his memory back at some point.
He was just playing along with it.
And they kind of just basically like ended on a truce. And where are they? But they're in Soyo's room, right? The Shogun's sister. And who is spending the night but Kagura? You know, when she gets pissed off when they wake him up from her sleep, and so she just dragged everybody under her blankets, and then she's sleeping next to Soyo.
Shoya?
Yeah. Yeah, so that was that two-parter arc right there.
That was... What'd you think of that arc?
I like the Katsura Shogun moments. Those were pretty good.
Let me get this piece of roof out of his ass. Oh shit, his clothes are off.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, that was, I remember watching that at the gym, actually. That was a funny arc.
But what was the next arc? I know there were a bunch of
Yeah, a bunch of
looking at it-
one chapter stories here. So the next
Yeah,
one, God,
that
it's just it's so long to read.
I think that one, because you see the Mount Elizabeth and the bent over Just Away.
Yeah, this is the Gintoki and
Those
them are sitting around, and they're just saying that yeah, we should make an ad for Yorozuya, you know, so that way people can know what we're about. Like, what can we show that represents us?
You can also tell, like, during this arc, too, it gets meta, because the creator comes out of nowhere. He sprang down the mountain, he's like, I still haven't come up with an ending.
Oh, of course.
I think that's a reference to Earthbound, actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I might be wrong, though.
You might be right, because there is so much Japanese references in this chapter. They're just parodying they're just making fun of a bunch of stuff, and I'm just like, yep, I don't know any of this, so I'm just gonna, like, yeah, that's funny.
Is it a reference to Earthbound? I can't remember, because I know I felt like it was, but I might be wrong, and I think the reason why is because Earthbound's advertising was weird, because what they did for their marketing was they're like, oh, this game smells bad. It stinks. How can you tell? Scratch and sniff. This is what the game smells like.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's kind of a stupid way of advertising your game. Exile is a Japanese band. One of the members, his name's Madakai. Madakai is called Too Beautiful a lot, and he's been in this specific image a lot.
I see.
Yeah, this art, these one pages make fun of a lot of Japanese things.
A lot. Yeah, a lot. And there's even one where it's like it's an adult shop kind of thing. That's what Gintoki's that's one thing Kagura's trying to explain or whatever. Or no, Gintoki. Yeah.
All of these, so cynic, hard worker, shy. All of those three phrases end in YA, like the word Yorozuya, as in someone who works as something or has a certain trait, basically.
Yeah. And it's just so ridiculous. They just start bringing up a bunch of stuff, and then eventually Shinpachi's just like, okay, how about we actually just use stuff with us on it?
Mm-hmm. Chage and Asuka. I'm like, who the hell are those? Oh, they're Japanese singers.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And then Love, Loneliness, and Reassure.
And yeah.
And that's a single from 1994. And I don't even know what the hell this is.
Yeah, no,
this is really absurd.
See, and like I said before, I'm like, is this really for the main audience of Shonen Jump? You know, or are these for the business guys that still want to read Shonen Jump? You know?
Yeah. I do like the next ad they try to make. Let's give it all we've got. All the employees are kind of people, so just feel free to stop by sometimes. Do it.
Yeah. And then it ends on a pretty nice one. They spill the ink. Sadaharu steps on a piece of paper, and this photo of all three of them land right on there, and it's like, yep, there it is.
The Shinpachi and Gintoki, though.
Yeah.
Their face.
Yeah, man, there's just so much dialogue and too many references for me to really like stay awake reading that, you know. Like, geez.
The next one though, I think it was a one shot too.
I think it was. Yeah, this one was pretty fun. We see the.
Oh, this is where the school lunch is, right?
No.
Okay.
No, this is Seita, right? He is trying to learn history, right? Because it's about time he should go to school.
Oh yeah.
And Tsukiyo's trying
right.
to teach him, but she's a little too strict and like pretty much too much pressure on him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes to visits. He visits. Oh, Gintoki's visiting around that time, and Seita's mom's just like, "Well, yeah, look, even Gintoki went to school. You know, like you should learn." And it's just like, "Oh, how about Gintoki becomes my my teacher?" You know, and he's like, "Huh? Like, excuse me?"
Wait a minute.
Yeah, and he's trying to convince Gintoki. It's like, look, man, like we don't really have to study. You know, let's do that thing where you put something in the book and we'll just read that instead. You know.
Mm-hmm. Some of this, it's like you really need to know your
Edo history. Yeah.
Yeah, but what's really cool is I've noticed too in the translator's notes they make some other different manga. So like I think let's see, they call him Koro Sensei from Assassination Classroom. Yeah.
Or no, Seita calls Tsukuyo Koro Sensei.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
And then Sen Goku Jidai is the Warring States period, and that was in ancient China, actually. That's where I want to say, I might be wrong. That's where Confucianism popped up and Taoism. I learned about that recently.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Yeah. So Gintoki agrees, like, yeah, we should slack off. Why don't we grab this manga, go to volume 10, and then of course he gets stabbed in the back of the head with a katana. Tsukiyo is there. You know, kind of overseeing what they're talking about.
What the hell is this Planet of the Apes shit going on right now?
Yeah, so Gintoki being Gintoki's like, I'm just going to bullshit my way through this. I kind of know what happens, but whatever. Yeah, it's just a bunch of caveman shit trying to summarize what happened, and then it's like, yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, this is in the year 1407.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they get, like, space weapons and shit, you know.
In 1467.
Yeah. The Sengoku era started.
Yeah, pretty much. So this is actually how the Warring States period started, Planet of the Apes.
And then there was that time where civilization collapsed.
This is so goddamn ridiculous.
Yeah, and then Tsukiyo's just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, don't fuck with this. He's gonna remember things wrong, you know. But it's like, oh, he's actually interested, and it's like, okay, why don't we kind of, you know, bring this around? And Seita's like, what's a Ragnarok?
Oh no.
So Gintoki's actually telling the history, and she's like, well, he's
in a different way.
Yeah, and it's just like, well, he's actually kind of accurate about it. It's still a little rough.
Yeah, and they're actually talking about the Sengoku era, which is like the 1500s in Japan.
Yeah, basically, if you're playing the Samurai Warrior games, this is kind of the era.
Gorillas are still around.
Yeah, because Seita keeps asking, like, oh, there's a bunch of military people, right? Like Nobunaga, you know, Ieyasu, like, who else was there? You know, and Gintoki's running out of names. He's like, well, the rest were just guerrillas. It's like, wait, weren't they all wiped out in the last war? And that's where Tsukiyo steps in. It's like, no. He means the military commander. He just looked like a gorilla.
Kondo. It's not Kondo.
It's not Kondo.
It's Hideyoshi. Yeah. But I heard Monkey was Hideyoshi's nickname.
Mm-hmm.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And
I learned about this dude in Osaka like 4 years ago. It's so funny.
It gets a little over the top. Now they're both in deep water. Like, how the fuck do we recover from this? You know? And then
Hideyoshi's a gorilla.
Yeah. And then Seita's mom shows up and pretty much says, like, oh, they fired the Omega and the Sigma weapons at each other, and now it's the year 0. You know, the universe basically reset. Okay, and so how about we take it back from the beginning, guys? Let's try to fix this.
I'm just looking through these pages right now. I'm just like, why are there sand microwave?
Oh yeah, because Tsukiyo fucked up. She was trying to explain something. It's like, oh yeah, he warmed his sandals, with a microwave.
Because it was cold outside.
Yeah.
It was just an accident.
Yeah, so that was a wild time. It's always good seeing those guys show up.
Yeah, once every now and then. What was the next one though?
The next one stars Sacchan, as she decided a certain way to live in Gintoki's home. She built a mirror in their bathroom so now she could look at Gintoki every day. Yeah, and it gets super ridiculous, and it's just like, oh, is he back? It's like, oh, no, it's just Shinpachi. And he's like, oh, like, what? There's a mirror. And so he starts checking out his hair. He's like, I wonder if they notice I got a haircut. And it's like, no, it's the same haircut. What are you talking about?
Uh-huh.
And then he starts doing like nerdy weep shit. And then he's like, okay, now that nobody's here, let me do some checkups. And then he takes off his shirt, and it's like, chest hair, check.
Just a whole bush of hair.
Yeah. And then so he starts shaving, and then Kagura shows up, so he freaks out. He accidentally, like, he's bleeding all over the place now from his razor.
Uh-huh.
And then so Kagura's in there, and she's just like, are you okay? It's like, oh, okay, whatever. And then she's doing her check as well, and like, boom, she pops out a tail, which is, of course, parody of Dragon Ball, right? Because the Yato clan are basically Saiyans, so her growing a tail is, you know, it adds on to that. And then, of course, she's like, if I look at the moon, I could transform, and it's just an Ozaru with bunny ears in the panel. And she's wearing, like, Vegeta's armor.
Her tail gets cut off, right?
Well, she's washing her tail or whatever, and then Gintoki comes in, she freaks out, so she rips her tail off.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's bleeding off her ass, and she just walks away. And then Gintoki just looks on the floor, and there's, like, just the tail, and, like, all the chest hair around it that looks like pubes.
Oh, yeah. And he's just like, thank you for the gift. And he takes off his hair, and he's bald. And
he's like, yeah, I didn't think they noticed already. Like, I was wearing a wig this whole time.
And then she just comes out of the mirror kicking Gintoki, just like, sorry for the intrusion.
Yeah.
And then she leaves.
And then it turns out it was all fake. You know, they were all faking it. But then the next day, Gintoki brushes his teeth, and then so she's there. But it's just a hole in the wall, and she dressed up as Gintoki, and she's wearing that wig he threw on.
He's just like, what do you think? He's just like, I don't wear glasses.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Good times. Good
Yeah.
times. Yeah, and there's like 3 more chapters from here. The next one involves Kagura's dad.
Yeah, Umibozu shows back up to Earth, and he's just like, God, the sun is always so harsh here. You know, how the hell does Kagura, like, live here? You know, like, our race shouldn't be able to support here. And then he sees a bunch of tanned people, and he's like, what happened to your body? It's burnt black.
Ganguro.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, God. He's like, oh, God, this planet's dangerous. What happens to Kagura? You know? And then we look at a shot of, like, a fat Kagura who's all tanned with, like, this... And I don't think it's supposed to be Gintoki, but somebody who's also super tanned and fat. And it's like, what if she gets, like, some burnt black boyfriend?
Dude, it's straight up Ganguro, I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. This shit's funny. But yeah, he's able to get his hair back, kind of.
Yeah, so he's freaking out, and he's running around town, this and that. And then, yeah, as he's running to their place, he buys some spray-on hair, which looks bad. And so he's running around, and he looks at a playground, and he sees Kagura talking to a boy, and he gives her a love letter. And he's just like, what the fuck is going on? And he's, like, sweating super bad, and so the hair is, like,
he's next
sweating.
to a pole, and he just, like,
crushes
destroys it, and he throws it at the Yorozuya headquarters.
Yeah.
And Gintoki's just, like, not even phased. He just moved his head to the right a bit.
Yeah.
It's just like, guys, for you to get a spoon eating flan.
And so what he broke was actually a pole for electricity, right? So his hair gets super fried as well. So he has, like, looks like he has, like, a balding perm going on.
Yeah.
And he's talking to Gintoki. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? You're supposed to be watching Kagura, you know? And she's like, as she shows up, she's like, oh, hey, Dad, you're here. Good. I have good news, everybody. I got a boyfriend.
I'm gonna screen cap the reactions.
Oh, I could send you some right now from this arc. It's hilarious. Yeah, so she's explaining that, like, yeah, she got a boyfriend or whatever. And Gintoki's just like,
Yeah, I have that one saved.
Oh, then you need this one too, right here.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Us on our 6, Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Yeah, oh Jesus, yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah, Gintoki's, like, kind of denying it, using like, oh, she actually said this in Japanese, not boyfriend, you know. And so everyone's like freaking out about it, and it's just like, is dinner ready? It's like, yeah. So like they're all having like a serious dinner, trying to bring it up
With the pole still in the place.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, everything's still a wreck. And they're talking to her, and it's like, oh, how about you bring him over, you know? And then we could, meet him and talk or whatever. And then, yeah, Umibozu and Gintoki go to the bar, get like super hammered.
My daughter's growing up.
Yeah, so they have to accept that she's growing up, and then that's when like, yeah, they didn't sleep, and that's where that screenshot came up when Shinpachi's trying to open the door, and they just headbutted their heads through the door.
No.
It's like, yeah, we didn't get a wink of sleep. We've been waiting this whole time.
And then you have that.
Go ahead.
It's really cool. I thought it was wholesome, that one whole page with Kagura in like the wedding dress in front of the church.
Oh, the chapter cover? Yeah.
Yeah. Their stairway of adulthood isn't something you only go up.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Welcome to the Sacchan residence.
Yeah, and it's just all like, okay, their heads are just stuck in the door, and then, they come out. And then you look, and they're like just super tall in like traditional clothing.
Oh, yeah. That's intimidating. That is super intimidating. Oh my god.
It reminds me of that one like 80s manga that looks like Fist of the North Star, but it's like this high school guy with a katana, and like the principal, he's like wearing this outfit. It's just so ridiculous.
Oh my god, that one panel where they're just big and the foot just smashes.
Yeah, it's so good.
Oh yeah, this dude, this Kim Jong-un looking ass. I remember this. He really is a big kid. And so, like, he's the prince of a planet, right?
Yeah, so Kagura shows up. It's like, yeah, my boyfriend's outside, and it's just like, hey, why don't you, let him in, Like, there's nothing wrong with him being shy. And it's like, no, he really can't come in. It's like, oh, nonsense. Like, hey, my boyfriend, you're outside, why don't you come in? And yeah, that's when his foot steps in, and yeah, he's part of the giant clan off of some planet. When we first see him show up, and it's like, oh, like, he's really not that intelligent, it looks like, because he's, his eyes are whited out, and he's just making noises. And then, they start talking. It's like, oh, yeah, no, like, he actually is pretty calm when they listen to hip-hop.
Hip-hop. He puts the glasses on.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, yeah, really not used to these customs, know? And so they start talking. Basically, he's just like, yeah, I want to marry Kagura, yeah.
This is basically, like, they're making fun of Attack on Titan. Like, this is a reference to the manga Shingeki no Kyojin.
Wait, which part?
It's, I think Gintoki's about to punch Umibozu. He's like, no problem, bastard. Attack any Titan you want, Titans. I'll make you fly straight back into the deep reaches of space. And then he says hairline.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. This chapter is like a whole reference to Attack on Titan. It's funny.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't go that far, because that's the only line they say about Attack on Titan here. So he wants to marry Kagura, and they're freaking out about it, and Kagura, she decides to leave with her boyfriend back to the park, and they're talking about how, like, yeah, I don't really understand this whole romance stuff. I don't get it. Like, why don't we just be the same, but like, I don't know, we'll just do stuff like hold hands or whatever. And he's like, I just want to do more than hold hands, Kagura.
Oh.
And so they start talking about like the differences in love. Yeah, and so he's just like, wait, like, you have to come back home with me. We have to plan this wedding stuff. And then, as she's trying to go somewhere, all the giant people stop her. And he's like, I'm not letting you go. I don't want this long distance thing. And so knocks her out, and they start talking, and they go to Soyo's place because she's the one that introduced them to be friends in the first place. And she talks about like, oh wait, he wants to marry her? That's a problem. The giant people, their custom is they try to find the best genes out there, and then from then on, they keep the genes from themselves, and they destroy the planet they're from, right? And so because Kagura's of the Yato clan, she's super strong. They like that about her. So they're going to blow up Earth and, have her, and then have her for his bride. And then so they show up, they start blowing up part of the city. It's just to make room for the wedding that they're about to have. Everybody's dressed up in suits.
Dude.
He's about to kiss Kagura. Shinpachi steps in, and he accidentally kisses the priest.
Oh.
Yeah, that's ordaining the wedding. Yeah, and so he's pissed off, and he's like, what the hell's with all this dad talk? You know, I don't care about all these dads, you know, like, we're just going to use her.
Dude. Dad Quark.
It's just dad core, yeah. And then
Dude,
so
no,
he's...
it really is because of Gintoki and, this is the most dad core arc of Gintama.
Oh, yeah. And so, yeah, he sends his army out to fight them. And like, oh, it's raining blood. But wait, like, these giants actually aren't attacking. They're all knocked out. And yeah, Umibozu and Gintoki are up there, and they just beat up his whole army. And so they beat him up too. And as they hit him in the head, and he flies out of the ship, they're like, oh wait, he was holding Kagura, so she got pissed off and beat the hell out of them too.
Uh-huh.
So they're all bandaged up. The boyfriend went back home. They kind of broke up, I guess.
He married the priest.
Oh yeah, and he's like, you know, fathers really are amazing. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Shinpachi and we both are like, what the fuck?
And it's like, oh god, yeah. And then it's Kagura's just saying like, yeah, I really don't know what kind of love this is yet, but I'll take these guys any day, kind of thing. Classic ending with a Kagura storyline.
Yeah, Kagura's storylines are for me because it's Kagura. I think she's annoying, but it was a good one. The next one though, I remember this one where Yamazaki wants to be a ninja. And
Well, so Yamazaki got a special service recognition or whatever, because he was part of this. He infiltrated this thing, and they got a big bust out of it. And some of the Shinsengumi are talking, and it's just like
they're just making fun of Naruto at this point.
Well, no, not yet.
Oh,
They're talking like, wait, what does Yamazaki even do? You know, it's like, I heard they just do lookout. He's like, wait, I could do that. And it's like, yeah, I heard you do nothing but eat onpon all day. No, it's like, isn't it a job where you play badminton? You know, they're just talking shit like, this is a boring job. Like, why would he get recognized for this? So he's pissed off about that. And he's just like, God damn it, like, I want to be recognized. I want to be cool. And he's looking at this poster for Mission Impossible 6. He's like, maybe I should switch my line of work. Because, yeah, I think a 6 came out around this time. But yeah, so he's walking around, and he sees Hattori is trying to rent a DVD, but his license expired. So he has to go get it renewed, and it's a ninja license. And so Yamazaki's like, yeah, I should just be a ninja. And so he goes with Hattori to this school, and it's just run by this old couple, and it's like, yeah, you could be a ninja in a day.
Oh yeah, the dude's eyes, his eyes.
Yeah, the classic old man eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the backwards 3.
The hell, or a sideways M.
Or that
sideways lowercase m.
Yeah, but they traditionally use 3s for those kind of eyes.
Yeah,
like those, like
true.
these are the kind of eyes when like a character that has really bad eyesight has when their glasses get taken off.
Get in the car, the two of you, and it's just a frog.
Yeah, and that's when they start making fun of. This is when they start
Like
making fun of Naruto.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like, yeah,
Not
we have
cute.
Genin, Jonins, Hokage courses. Like, which one are you taking?
Oh man.
And it's just ridiculous Gintoki or Gintama banter with like how
Making
they're
fun of other things.
yeah, and like them going through the courses. Like, okay, now here's the pond. You know, like where you have to move in water. It's like, oh yeah, that's where you use a bamboo stick to breathe. And it's like, instead you're using this ninja's ass. And he's like, wait, no, there has to be a bamboo stick somewhere.
This is some human centipede shit what they're doing.
Oh, yeah. No, don't worry, I'll breathe out of her ass and you can breathe out of mine.
No. Oh. Ew.
Yeah, and then so and it ends on the last page with Yamazaki getting recognized again for something. And it's just like, yeah, he took out this whole gang by himself. It's like he's a whole new person. Like, he learned the ways of the ninja. And it's like, yo, do you want to get some food with us? You know, like, now he's the cool guy. He's like, no thanks, I got chikuwa to eat, which is what the other ninjas were eating.
Oh, gotcha.
When they were
Yamazaki became a ninja.
Yeah. And that's all the arcs I read at this point. like I said, wasn't able to finish 50 chapters this time around. So next
You're
episode,
gonna like the next one. It's a comedy one, but like, fucking, the sword just gets stuck up in Gintoki's ass.
yeah, this is,
And it lives there, feeding off of his blood.
and his name is Kusanagi, and this is a clear parody of Parasite, if I've ever seen one. Did you ever read Parasite, Grant?
No, but I did watch a couple of episodes, though. I do
okay.
know what it's about. Migi means right. I know that's like the...
Yeah, well, they named him that because he took over his right arm? No, it was his left arm, wasn't it? No, his right arm.
No, Migi means right, yeah.
Yeah, it was his right hand.
Hidari means left and Migi means right, so yeah, his right hand.
Yeah. But yeah, this is just a blatant parody for it. Like, yeah, we could change shape, you know. He got stuck inside of Gintoki just to tease it for a bit, and then he's just like, he starts vibrating, and he's like, oh, another one of my kind is around. You know, which is also similar to what it is in Parasite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When he meets other parasites.
So I'm currently reading that right now before we recorded, so that'll be...
It's actually a good one. I actually really... Mainly the Berserk reference. I didn't even realize it was a Parasite reference.
Yeah, once Kusanagi started vibrating, said another one of my kind is nearby. And I'm like, oh, this is totally parody. So we'll get more into that arc into the next episode. So thanks for listening, guys. It's just been classic Gintama these past chapters. Nothing really. Oh, gee, what the fuck am I looking at? Nothing too crazy going on.
Yeah, we'll see you in the next episode.
Yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next episode. We will finish this up, and then we should be going back to our regular sized chapter chunks. So until next time, guys, thanks for listening. Remember, it's unversedpodcast@gmail.com for any emails that you want to give us about Gintama. And yeah, that'll be all. So thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you on the next episode.
Tiny tinny turtle, found the bitches I look murder. See you out and they walking. You know that these things are murder, fucking on beaches. To be wild, they fucking on beaches, running the water. Kill while they been walking. You know the flames are burning. Tiny tinny turtle, tiny tinny turtle. Young thing walking, missing all the hurdles. 1, 5, 6, 10 legend on him. 10 little crib, lay passing on him. Dead near with him, dead near to get him. No life living, towards eyes living. No, not running, son.